It's the good stuff. Hello everyone, welcome back. So we had a little overheat problem with this thing the last time we took it out, so I'm in the process of working on a few things. I do want to touch on this because, man, I've already heard this because Razor RC did a video about binding diffs. I'm really not sold on the fact that a little bit of friction, a little extra friction in a drivetrain is going to cause a motor to overheat, especially as fast as we had. I mean, if you come over here and it's not hard to move the RC at all. It's not. Even if we come over here and move the diffs, you know, it's not very hard. It's just, I mean, there's friction like you'd expect, but it's not, and they're only doing this on turn, but I don't know, I'm just not sold on that, but we'll see. I don't know, maybe my OCD will kick in and we'll open this. It's not a very simple process to get to that, but anyhow, so I've already started here. Look at this, we got 2 fans on the motor, so it does fit. 2 30mm fans fit. Now the ESC, I think this is our biggest problem here. It's the ESC. It's just, I think that fan is just way too small for what we're asking it to do. So I have 3 fans here. One I just actually got in today from Amazon. These are 25mm. This is a Arma fan, the Cyclone. These are what Arma uses in the ESCs. And this is the factory fan. And we're going to do a little scientific test here. Alright, so this should be interesting. So we're going to put this on mph. And I'm sorry, I can't turn off this other fan, so it might be a little loud. Maybe, I don't want to do anything to hurt the fan, but, well, maybe. Alright, so I'm going to touch, and then we're going to back it off a little bit because that should be the best way of doing this. And hopefully you can see that. So this is, like I said, the factory Redcat fan. They have, look at that, we're looking at about 4.5 miles an hour. There we go, about 5. miles an hour. The Cyclone, this is Arma. Jeez. I guess it helps if I aim it the right direction. So here we go, we're going to touch and then bring it back a little bit. And it's about the same. 4.5, 5 miles an hour. 5.5. 5.7. Oh, look at that. So 6. It's amazing how long it takes these things to get up to speed. So 6.5. We're going more, we're going higher. Yeah, I think we stopped at about 6.5. Oh, look at that, 7 now. 7 out of the Arma. So that's interesting. It's almost like that one slowed down a little bit. So here's the Amazon special. Ooh, considerably louder. Definitely a lot more air. Oh, look at that. 12. So we're going to touch and come back a little bit. So we got 12.8. Hopefully, sorry guys. So I just had 12.8 out of it. Seems like the voltage fluctuates in the ESC. Look at that. We got, I'm just going to call it 12.5 right there. And we're going to pick up the Cyclone again. Now we got 7. Alright, sorry about the noise. Like I said, unfortunately this is into the receiver that's down below and I can't get at it. This is scientific, man. This is as good as it's going to get. This is actually telling us what true airflow is. And the factory one's barely blowing 5 miles an hour. Where this one, this little Amazon, which will be in my store, we got like 13 miles an hour, considerably more airflow. So this should really help out the ESC a lot. And let's just make sure all this will fit in here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this bolted in, and then I'm going to check the shocks. That's what I'm curious, because look at this. This is dead. Well, thank you, Basher Dens, for sending me down this rabbit hole. Golly, man, I didn't want to do this. But let's just explain it now that we went down this rabbit hole. So, 2 screws there, 2 screws there, 2 screws there. Have to come out. We have 2 screws here, which are part of a brace, which I'm going to show you here. So we have the skid plate here in the front. So there's 2 screws there on the bottom. There's 1 screw here that holds that, right? So we have that. There's a screw there, 2 underneath there. That'll come out. Then you have the front bumper. It has 2 screws here. 1 screw here in the side. I'm trying to keep this all together, try to keep the screws into the pieces so I don't lose track of them, because there is a lot of stuff going on here. So there's your hinge pin block. So there is a metal block in here. So like I said, that goes there. Take that bumper off. Then you got this screw here, 2 there. That comes out. And then you got the screws there. Now the arms here, took the shocks off. Of course, we take out both things for the shocks. So you have a shock. You got the hinge pin here for the lower arm. Then there's a hinge pin here for the upper arm, like so. And then your steering linkage, and then you can keep all this together and put it over here. Then you need 2 screws here that hold this piece, and then that's it for the top. Like I said, so that you got your shock mounts here, and then this whole piece will come out. Be careful, right here where your steering goes is your 2 bearings. So this is going to be really fun to try to put back in, because the screws come in from the bottom. And then the center brace. 2 screws there, 2 in the middle, 2 there, and then you have 2 more down here, which now this is interesting. This is kind of a piss poor design, that the center brace shaft after sits here, and obviously this is hitting. So there should be a bearing kind of in that design. Because look at that. I've only run, what, 2-3 battery packs through here, and this is already, I could see one day this thing filing down and probably just shooting out. This is kind of crazy. Oh, freaking stupid design, to be honest with you. To have to do this much to get into a diff, and then getting the diff open is a whole nother thing. I will say this is nice. This is solid. So damn, man, stupid diff. So there's a screw here. It takes the pressure off, and then you got the center pin here, which is damn near impossible to get out. I had to use this. I got this like spring-loaded center punch, and I had to hit it about 4 or 5 times before I got it to come out enough. And then you got a 0.05, very small little screw there that has to come out of here to allow you to drive this pin out. So this pin actually just, it comes out. I just set it back in there. So now we can get to this screw and these screws and open this thing up. This is just the front half, and I still haven't even got to the shocks that I want to get to. Oh, lordy, man. I will say Razor RC was right on one thing, which I didn't even know. I'll give him credit for that. I had no idea that the universal joints here need to be in phase, what he called in phase. So I took a picture of what we're talking about, where U-joint to U-joint, it needs to be straight, where if that's straight and that's sideways, if that's wrong. These weren't even like that. They were just kind of like cockeyed, half whatever. So basically what we're looking at here is, so right here in the wheel, this is hard because this is all off. So we have that piece, solid piece of the drive shaft, that solid piece, and they should be in line. That way when you're rotating, the U-joint has, I wouldn't even wear that. And yeah, I checked the Max Slash, and the Max Slash is set up like that. So I give Razor credit for that. I learned something. Alright guys, now Razor RC is just one guy. So I went through all this to open up to find one shim. Just the one. That's all we had. Like I said, I felt like it wasn't binding. People are going to say, it's overheating because there's all this friction in the drive. It's a pretty strong motor. I mean, if you could push it, it's fine. I mean, if you're pushing it, it's dragging and the wheels are, then yeah, I can see that overheating. But if the car rolls like that and it's fine, then, you know, so all that work for something I felt was fine was, at the end of the day, absolutely fine. We have one shim in here, and maybe I don't even need this shim. We'll just try it. We'll just take that shim out. I said, maybe, you know, I don't know, whoever made his car maybe just added too many. Maybe there's something they were feeling at the time of manufacture. Maybe it's settled in by now, but still loud. It's just a loud gear set. Alright, let me get this back together and open up the shocks here. But alright, so I'm putting this together, and what I was worried about were the bearings. So I found, disconnect the steering link. It's something I didn't have before. Take the whole rack off. It goes in, and then the bearings. So it should hold as we flip this thing over and try to drop this thing into place. Huh. Sweet, look at that. Maybe I'll check the back. Gee, I really didn't want to go down this rabbit hole, but here we are, working on it. Like I said, I'll get the front end together, and then we're going to check the shocks, and then I guess we'll open up the back. I'm trying not to make this video too long, that's why I'm not doing it like step by step. I'm just going to take it apart and then tell you kind of, and I hope that makes sense to you, okay? So I don't want this thing to be like a 30-minute documentary on how to take this thing apart, but I haven't seen anybody really show how this system comes apart, so I'm trying to help you all out. Alright, got the front end back on, get everything bolted back together. So moment of truth for the shocks, and look, it is the pressed on version. Let's see about, yep, that one too. It's the pressed on. Look at this. There's just no. So now I emailed, let me see here, oh, okay, I emailed Redcat about what shock oil they use, and they told me it was 37.5. Oh, look at that. It's kind of like it binds there or not. But look, it doesn't even, I don't know where 37.5 comes from, but I'm getting rid of stuff. So there's a bladder stuck in there, but let's I don't know, man, that's pretty goopy. It's pretty thick, man. Alright, I'm gonna figure out what kind of oil I'm gonna put in here, and then I will check back with you. I don't know, I'm going with the 30 weight. We'll see how it goes. Don't forget, the more you push this in, like the more rebound. I tend to like about halfway, not all the way in. Our oil, yeah, pretty much to the top. And then this bladder should go in. Fill it up. There we go, we got that thing pushing down already. Let's see. Now we got some rebound. Yeah. Oh wow, now that feels even harder than before. That's not even with the spring on it. Alright, maybe we need to redo this. This time I'm going to leave the shaft all the way down. We'll top off this oil somewhat. There we go. Alright, so now we can go ahead and put this little bladder in here. We're going to get some oil gooping out. It's okay. It's expected. This time I'm not going to compress that shaft at all. But at least we got some kind of rebound. This front end had none before. But that is pretty stout. Hopefully that's going to work. It's hard to judge when it's not on the car. Don't forget these screws are all different sizes. The longer screws on top. Put that in there. Also, you might be tempted to go ahead and do all the shocks at once. I'm not 100% sure on this car, but it does happen that sometimes the valving, the disc that's in there with the holes, is different between the front and rear. So if you mix it up and have like one front and one rear, or that, you'll change the whole dynamics of the car. So just something to be careful about when you're doing this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing buttoned up, and then I'm gonna take the back end apart and see what we can find back there. Well, I will say I just found one problem right here, and this is where droop screws come in. Right now the shock is holding the suspension. So when I went to bolt the shock on, I had to pick up on the arm to get it to fit. So that's why people are snapping these heads off, because as you jump and these things come down, they are the shock is holding it. It needs to be, the control arm stops before the shock ends. So that's why. And there's no droop screws, there's no setting to change that. So that is why. Well, everyone, I'm pleased to report, look at that. It bounces back. And I have like I got a little preload here. Let's take all the preload out on the springs. Look at that. Still a little fast. But at least it is coming up. So this should actually be pretty good, because now this is what we want it to be. So that when we're hitting bumps, it's going to respond and keep the front end. But before, it wasn't even coming up. So I know somebody was probably going to say earlier, but ooh, shock oil ain't gonna. Yeah. And look, I could put a little preload in these springs and bring this up more, but I think that's gonna be good. All right, I'm gonna flip it around and work on the back. All right, everyone, I hope the AC's not too loud. I wrapped up, it was like 2, 3 in the morning. I went and laid down, so it's like afternoon, so it's working a little harder. But that's a good test for it, the new AC. But I got the center diff out. Feels really smooth. Now this is interesting. I've never seen this before. So I was trying to figure out what the gearing was on this. They don't really list it in their website, but here's the motor, and you have a pinion gear here. And then there's a pinion gear here. That's weird. I mean, is this like a gear reduction or something? I don't know. I mean, it is a nice solid block that mounts to. So you have this aluminum piece that bolts to the motor. You have a bolt here. Once that's loose, you can slide this. So I guess that's the thing, is that you take this motor and you only set the mesh to this, because once it's in here, it's impossible to set the mesh because you can't see what's going on with this diff being covered up like that. But that is weird. This is the first time I've ever seen like a 2-gear. So we have like 2 pinions and a spur gear. That's weird. Alright, so let me go over real quick how you get to this point. So right here you have 2 screws to take this piece off, and then from back here you have the 2 screws underneath which will loosen this up, and then you have 1 screw here that will take that out. So this is what holds on your hinge pins like that. Then you have your bumper here which will screw into these 2 holes, and that this has to come off to give you access to that, so you'll have that there. Now the rear wing, you can actually, oh man, you can actually leave that and the wheelie bar on, because these 2 screws here in the wing don't have to come out. The wheelie bar goes there, and then the only screws you really have to take out are these 2 here, because that goes into the shock tower mount. So you can actually leave all that on there. It's not going to affect anything. And then of course you got to take the 2 shocks off. Then this just drops the control arms, and from, see here, you can easily work on this with the control arms in place, save you a step. I probably could have done that in the front, but I was like, I didn't really think I'd get into the thing. I just took it off to look. I initially only going to line up the drive shafts, but you know, I didn't want to hear everybody, oh, Razor RC. But coming down here, you got 2, all these have to come out. 2, 2, 2. Like I said, these 2, take that piece off, and then 1, 2, 3, and then all that pops out. You do have to take all that out because you do have to get this. I think I already mentioned the center diff's got to get. You got to be able to pick it up so you can actually slide this drive shaft out, because if it's all locked in here, you can't get it. You got to be able to tilt that up. So not terrible. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing opened up, and we'll see what the situation is in here. This one does, maybe it's because of that. This one sounds a bit worse. So just go ahead and fight these tiny little screws and get this thing open. Actually, man, I'd much rather just be out there driving this thing. The stuff I do. Oh, but I took it apart. There's, again, only 1 shim. So to say that they're all over shimmed and all that just because one person had a problem, so I wouldn't say it's a rampant problem. Now this diff is a bit loose, or the screws are a bit loose, because the whatever goop they put in there seems to be seeping out right there. So all right, folks, there we have it. I'm gonna put this thing back together without the shim, see if it makes a difference in the sound, and then we'll bolt it back up, and I'll check in with you with the shocks. And guess what? Just got delivered for warranty, the new shocks. So we'll check them out as well while we're working on this. Alright, so that wasn't so bad. Definitely easier the second time around, but yeah, if I ever have to do that again, I'm just going to sell the car or make it a shelf queen. Oh man, what a hassle. So checking the back shocks here. Yeah, mine are just depressed on. They're not unthreading at all. And the backs have way longer springs. Feel a little bit softer. They're longer, but softer than the front. So we'll get this package here. Look at that, Redcat. Rear shock, front shock. Yeah, and just like on the car, the front has almost no preload, and the back has about half. It doesn't look any different. That shock shaft does not look any. Let me see if you guys can. I really don't want to open these things up, sorry. But that doesn't look any thicker. I mean, it's. What do you think? I know technically you should use a micrometer, but if they were thicker shafts, it should be like visible. I think the only difference is that these are threaded, where these are pressed on. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to those because I've already started with the oil change on these shocks. And like this one here, yeah, it's not rebounding at all. So you get that little sticky point right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the oil on this and check back in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have a new fan in the ESC. That should help keep it cool. I think one of the big problems with the hobby wing is that you only have these little vents here on the side for the air to come out. It really just restricts it trying to blow the air out, and there's not much you can do with it because that's, you know, you take this off and there's not much you can do. But we have that. We have 2 fans on the motor. Took the shims out of diff. Now they do sound pretty quiet. I'm looking at this wheel here, one of these wheels. I think I need to adjust it. It's like towed way out. So I'll go ahead and fire that, turn on the transmitter and get everything centered, and then I'll try to adjust that. But look at that. Probably never seen a one of these bounce so fast. But so yes, oil can prevent the shocks from coming up, because now it moves. If the oil's so thick, it just won't move through those discs, and it'll hold it down, and the springs can't overcome that force. So the back feels really, really good now, but it's a softer spring. I'm almost tempted to get like these back springs and put them on the front maybe, but we have to take it out, drive it. That's what it's all about. Oh yeah, man. That looks pretty good. Alright, the only way to tell, we need to go run it. I'll see you out there. Alright, man, we're going full send with 4S. It is later in the day. It is considerably cooler right now, so I think it's going to stand a better chance anyhow, irregardless. But here we go. I grabbed my pliers and put just a little bit of a bend in that head there, the pin. Boom, what a difference. Let's see what our suspension setup's going to do for us. Oh, I got to take these glasses off. I can't. They're reading glasses. Oh man, she's wheeling now. Yeah. It would not wheelie before. That's all just suspension setup. Let's turn this gyro up a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh no. Alright, so I want to... So the back end... Oh, come on. Let's watch this thing as it goes by. I need more gyro. Oh yeah, man. It's, look at that, kick the back end up and it absorbed it nice. It's definitely better. I don't know if I'd want to go thinner than 30 weight. I mean, it's still skipping a little bit. So I think those front springs are just too tight. But I'd definitely say it's doing better. Ah, jinx yourself every time you say that. All right, last time I wasn't in trying to go over tree roots and stuff, so yeah, look, I mean, the front tires are actually staying in the ground and not trying to depart. Whoa. Oh yeah, man, it's way better. If you guys remember before, I mean, it was, I mean, look. Whoa. Gotta watch out for these big old tree roots. Oh man, the motor is cold. ESC, she's got some heat to her. It might just be too small of an ESC for this car. It's like a max 10, might have to do like a max 8. Yeah, I like it. Because remember before, it would not wheelie. Let's see something here. There's just an inherent lag in the system. Like you hear it just, you hear it's like, I don't think it's really the remote. So I did, somebody recommended, and it's a good idea, adjust the throttle trim up a little bit to kind of get rid of that. I think now that after looking at it, seeing you have 2 pinions in that spur gear, I think, and it might just be an ESC issue, just trying to turn all that gearing. I don't know. I really think this thing might be better off with like a max 8. Man, the power comes on, it's kind of late. It's kind of like the Kagama, like they have a timing set in here. Oh, damn. You okay? Oh man, I did not mean to do that. I'll tell you what, man, she ripping now. We got these shocks dialed in. And now I can't see what the hell I just did. I'm stuck. Don't I have reverse now? How do I not have reverse? Okay. It's weird. I don't know what happened here. I'm just gonna have to go into the get my program when I get home and find out why I only have brake and no reverse. If you look at the remote here, if you guys can see, you can see it's sending a signal to reverse, hopefully, right? See? So I know it's telling it to reverse. Why it's not, I don't know. Maybe somehow, and I don't know how, the ESC setting got changed to just be throttle and brake. But I'll check it out when I get home. I don't have the programmer here. I thought maybe me setting the throttle trim jacked up, so I set it back to 0. But that didn't do anything. So let's just little more test of the shocks here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Man, I'm liking it, man. I'm happy with the shock tune. I think the 30 weight did pretty good with this. Let's go hit a few jumps. We'll check it out, and then we gotta wrap it up there because I know this video is probably getting too long. I'll probably have to edit half of this out. Really can't say if the fans are keeping it from going into thermal protection or not, because it is considerably cooler today. You know, the day I did the review video, I didn't have any problem with it doing that. So man, that landed nice. Yeah, that didn't. Nice. Man, it sounds so much better landing now, which is weird. There's that little thunk. I think it's just the body rattle, but that was a hard. Ooh, that was a rough sideways landing. I think I might be a little close to that tree, but oh man, she's jumping. Oh, you know what? That turns gyro off. That's why it's acting all wonky in the air. If you have a gyro and you're gonna hit air, turn that thing down. Oh, see how it didn't wiggle in air? Still boggles my mind why it's got no reverse, and why I just did that horribly bad. Wow. Look, I didn't even give it any input, man. It just... Oh my God. All right, one more jump and we're gonna wrap this thing up. But I am happy with the shock tuning. The diff issue, I don't really think was an issue. I'm not sure if it sounds quieter or not. I only had one shim in there, and I really didn't even feel like it needed that one shim, but I don't think one shim was really adding that much to it. Ah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Let me see if I can't catch it from... I'm bad at doing this. Trying to jump it myself, but... Let's see if we can catch it. Oh, nice. This is a good car. It's a little pain to work on, but... Whoa. This is kind of hard to control. Trying to protect your head. All right, man, never go home on a bad jump. Let's hit this and then we'll get some temps. Where the hell am I going? Oh man. There we go. And you know, man, it's landing pretty nice too. It's not a big bounce, a hop or nothing like that, man. It's setting down, it's running good. I am happy with the shock tune. I'm even gonna be brutal and turn it off. That way the fans don't cool it down. So let's see, the end of the motor, 130, not bad. 130, the ESC now, 153. How did it not? Oh, wow. So let me see if we get down into there. 137, so I think the ESC is about the 157. How did this thing not shut off? I think this ESC reset or something. It's like changed its settings somehow, because it should have been into thermal by now. The motors are staying good. The ESC, I might even have like a max 8 that I might put in here, because I think this little ESC, I think they're asking too much of it. If you look at the normal max, what is max 10s, I think they say 80 to 100 amp, and they're trying to say this is like 140. So maybe they're just pushing too much. I mean, when you look up the specs, this motor's in spec with this, but man, she's burning up. And I mean, man, they put 4S all over the thing. So all right, everyone, well, I hope you enjoyed me ripping this thing apart. It wasn't easy. It wasn't, I didn't want to do it, but hey, Basher Dens, he kind of challenged me. He made this little comment like, well, if you don't know how, dude, so challenge accepted, man. Challenge accepted. I know how. Oh, look at the wing. I think that wing's a little bent. Oh wow, these fans are hot. It's probably the heat coming up from the heat sink, but yeah, this is a challenge. So we did find out something. At least I did fix the shafts. At least they're lined up now. Shim issue, I guess that's probably a one-off. Maybe there's a few cars out there that have one too many shims. I don't know. I wasn't like Razor RC. I didn't have 3 or 4, whatever he had, 6 shims in one, 3 or 6, something like that, I forget, but he had a lot. I didn't have it, so obviously not. I don't think it's a widespread problem, but hope you enjoyed. And if you have to work on it, hopefully this video will help you out if you got to rip this thing apart. And we're going to keep on working here. I think a bigger ESC is just going to help, because the bigger ESC is not going to try as hard to push everything, so it's not going to create the heat. It's not going to keep the engine from cooking, or the motor there, but maybe it'll help. All right, hope you found this informative. You learned something. You'll subscribe, join us for more RC vehicle adventures. Try to get everybody in the hobby, try to teach you how to fix some stuff if you don't know how, and maybe you learn something, because look at that front end. It is boing boing. I mean, yeah, it's not going all the way up, which we really don't want to. You're gonna have unsprung weight, so. And I could always add some preload if I wanted to come up higher, but I think, man, it was running great. I really like the feel of the back. Like I said, I might try to get those springs and put them up front for a little softer feeling, but man, she ran great. I'm happy. 30 weight oil all the way around. You make the decision for yourself. You saw how it ran on the last video. If not, check it out. And you saw how it ran here. Everyone, links down below. Got you some discounts. Got affiliate links that really help me buy these things. So if you shop AMAIN or Horizon Hobby, please use that. If you shop Amazon, go to my store. I don't care if you're buying dog food. Just start out at my store. You don't have to buy anything in there. Do your shopping, and if you are interested in stuff like these fans and that I use, they are in my Amazon store, and it helps me buy the stuff and fund the channel. All right, everyone, appreciate the support. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.